Happy Monday, everybody. It is time for yet another Monday Motivation Chat. What's going on, Jay?
What's up, y'all?
What's going on, Pat? Pat here in the building.
G in the building. I'm so, thank you for y'all for showing up. This is the third Monday Motivation Chat.
Yeah, definitely.
We're so happy that we got the idea and just kind of went through with it and not wait for everything to just kind of be perfect, right? We're just going with the flow of things. And so far, we're enjoying it, we're learning, we're growing through this experience, and we hope that everyone who is joining us on this journey is also learning and growing as well.
Yeah, for sure. A little recap of last week.
Yeah.
Last week we had Janice Perez, owner of Instead Image Consulting. But I think one of the biggest takeaways I took from Janice was she's legit a piece of art. You know, everything that she does is a form of art, and it's beautiful in the sense that she is who she is.
Take it or leave it.
She doesn't bite her tongue for anybody. She doesn't have to mold herself to be what other people need her to be. She's just her, and it's either you're gonna like it or you're not gonna like it, and she does it in every line of her work, and every line of her work is some sort of art, whether it's her modeling, whether it's fashion, or even the paintings that she does. So
in her consulting business, helping people find their own power. Everyone has their superpower, and helping people come to the realization of that is such a powerful thing, because I think every human being is put on this earth with their superpower. And so many people walk through life never discovering their superpower, or knowing that it's there but never living to their full potential to see that superpower impact the world in a positive way. And so I think that's what I find so beautiful about her work, especially in her consulting business, where she's talked about people who've lost themselves, who don't know their identity, they don't know who they are, they don't love themselves, and bring them to the point of loving themselves, of knowing themselves, of discovering their superpower. There's no value that you can put on that. So many people just walk through life and then death, just sleeping and complacent and unhappy. And I feel like we all should live with intention of finding our superpower, realizing and living that through to the fullest potential. And everyone's superpower is different. That's what makes humanity so amazing and beautiful, is that all of us are different and unique. And I want to bring more stories out like that in Monday Motivation Chat. So we're going to introduce today's guest host. Is she here?
Yeah, she's here. Okay. I was just about to send her.
Okay. She is super mom to 5 awesome kids. She is a cancer warrior and host of Let's Talk About It, Lizza Padilla. She is an amazing, beautiful soul, and I'm so excited to share her story. So let's get it. Pat, you can't be on.
What are superpowers?
What are superpowers?
What are our superpowers?
Our superpowers? I think I'm a dot connector.
A dot connector?
Yeah, I think I'm a dot connector.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, Lizza, the Colt Jam? What's going on?
Look, Julie got her special cup. Eric got his special cup. I got my special cup. Wait, wrong side.
Let me see your special cup. Oh, I love it. I don't think I've seen that one.
This is all I drink out of, ever.
Every time we have too many, most of them are mine. I've been given a lot of mugs. And each of them, when given to me, they become the mug. And I think most of the mugs have been given to me with intention of like, I think this is special for you. Like this, whatever's on the mug is like unique to you, and it becomes my special mug. And now I just have a lot of special mugs.
That's why a
But
certain
I'm
person
really
I know,
hoping
not
that
naming
can
any
continue
names,
to
has about 100 mugs because they mean every mug has a symbolism to them.
right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? We're just gonna be mug collectors?
That's how you gotta be. That's why sometimes I'll be walking around, I'll be drinking my little girl
Right.
power mug and everything like that. You know, I'll be drinking, I'll be representing.
Well, you guys have
Me,
kids like I have kids, so mugs break all the time around here. But thank God this one has lasted last year.
not yet. Like, not
Well, because they can't reach the cups. That's why.
and we also are the serving of the liquids, so we give the plastic cup.
Oh,
Like
right.
Dusty just graduated to be able to use glass, and that's only sometimes.
He's been using glass for a little while now.
I'm sure that was a blessing for him.
He does. He has like the Robin cups that he uses and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Well,
So welcome
to Monday Motivation Chat.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for the honor of being our third guest host on a very, very special day. It is my born day. 32 years ago, I was brought to this planet.
I didn't want to sing on this platform because, I don't want to lose your audience here, but,
I think in the conversation, opening our conversation about superpowers would be a great place to start.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think your superpower is?
Besides my family, it's definitely finding strength in chaos. So I always find my strength in chaos, which is crazy to say. But that is my superpower. Like I persevere through anything. I've been through a lot. So going through what I'm going through now is a struggle, but it's nothing compared to what either others have gone through, and I always look at that side too, or what I've already been through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so crazy because I feel like in ways you've been through way worse.
No, this would be the icing on the cake. This would be it. Definitely 2 years now. Yeah, this would be it.
So why don't we go deeper into that?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that while cancer is a known thing, I think a lot of people are uneducated, and you become educated by experience. And so I would love to share just a little bit of deep insight into your particular cancer, because it's not a common one,
right.
And share a little bit about your journey. That's okay.
So I guess to begin, 2 years ago, August of 2018, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, which happens to be the most aggressive and mainly in minority women. However, men can get cancer too. Let's just put that out there. Breast cancer, per se. I battled 5 months of chemo, 33 sessions of radiation, thought I was in remission. Well, to back up a little bit, I had a lumpectomy. I chose to get a lumpectomy. For anybody that doesn't know, it's just removing the tumor. I chose that option as opposed to a double mastectomy because of job security and the length of time it took for recovery. And plus, any decision I made with my family. So we all had mixed feelings about both. Battled that for 2 years. 2 months later, well, in the midst of finishing radiation, I felt lumps in my other breast. I felt 2 lumps to be exact. And then my skin was changing colors on my right side, which is where I had the initial breast cancer. And we thought it was from radiation. It was common for radiation for your skin to change colors. But where it was changing was beyond the radiated area, but we didn't put 2 and 2 together at the time. They put me on steroids, put me on ointment, put me on all kinds of medication thinking it would go away because I had already finished radiation. But I did excellent during radiation. A lot of people, their skin burn. It gets really dark. So my skin did get really dark, but it didn't burn. I used aloe during the whole time I was doing radiation. So I think that attributed to my healing. Rash got worse and started becoming painful. I went to, and this is why I can't stress it enough, be your own advocate for anybody. You know, you feel something's wrong with your body, only you know your body best. You know, doctors are great and they're amazing and they're blessed with school knowledge and the ability to go to school and be able to follow those trades. But you sense something's wrong with your body, definitely follow your instinct and check it out. My initial breast cancer wasn't detected through, like, I didn't feel it. It was my 40-year-old mammogram and they detected it. So scary within itself. You know, I put that mammogram off because I was scared of the test, you know, itself. People have given me all kinds of horror stories about it. So anyway, so then that was February of 2019. Second week in February to be exact. Finished radiation on Valentine's Day. Went to my oncologist at the time on March 1st. I said, listen, I feel 2 lumps in my left breast. I don't know what it is. You know, I was nervous, talked to my family. Everybody was like, can't be. It can't be. You just went through all this treatment. And she brushed me off. She brushed me off. She didn't send me for testing. She claimed she didn't feel nothing. But I didn't know what to feel because I never felt my first one. My first one was about a centimeter. I think it was like 1.3 centimeters at the time of diagnosis. And in a month and a half, it had grown to almost 2 centimeters. So it was aggressive. Triple negative breast cancer is very aggressive with very little treatment options. So then she brushed me off. Her and her resident brushed me off. Didn't feel anything. I said, okay. Went to my GYN at the time 2 weeks later for something else. I said, listen, can you just feel this? I have been going to him for 10 plus years. Can you feel this? He was like, all right, I'll feel it. You know, same thing. I don't feel anything. He actually said, well, that's your ribs. For me, that didn't make any sense. I'm like, my ribs, like, okay, whatever. And still didn't give me peace of mind, didn't send me for testing. April 1st, saw my radiation oncologist for a routine follow-up. You know, it was a couple months later, it was just going. He felt it. I said, listen, if you tell me it's nothing, I will walk away and just leave it alone. Because once you have cancer from diagnosis, you have that fear. Everything. It's like, oh my God, I got a mold on my face. I have cancer. You know, so any cancer survivor will tell you that fear, that anxiety is with you for life. You deal with it better as time goes on, but it's with you for life.
Yeah.
So he sent me for testing. He's like, you know, I doubt it's cancer, but we're going to be aggressive no matter what we do. He happened to be friends with my surgeon and text him that night. My surgeon called me the next morning, or his staff. They brought me in the following week for testing. Mammogram, ultrasound, the whole 9. Which I also encourage, you know, like, again, you feel something wrong, push for all the testing that your insurance allows you to get and inquire with your insurance. You have that right. So, plus there's free mammogram sites all around the city. So I got that done. Then they decided to do a biopsy. So I got a biopsy of my skin where the rash was forming, which actually had gotten worse. So lesions were forming on my rash. I mean, right on top of the rash, and spread. And then they turned into like a scab, like a big scab, and very, very painful. So the biopsies both came back showing that my left breast was positive for triple negative breast cancer. Also, I didn't have just 2 lumps. I had 3 lumps growing, and I had an enlarged lymph node in my left side. Now, to backtrack, I also had 13 lymph nodes removed on my right side. 1 tested positive for cancer also. And then the rash also, although it was on my skin, it's from the breast cancer. So spreading. I started out as stage 1, got surgery. They found it in my lymph node. That made me stage 2. Re-diagnosed, and because it spread to my skin, made me stage 4 metastatic. So here I am going through treatment again. So far, since I've been re-diagnosed, I'm on my 4th treatment option since I've been diagnosed, but total 6 treatment options so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What has been the lesson that, or I don't know, I think in the dark times you something comes to light for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
What was that, has been that for you?
The lesson was to live life on purpose. The lesson was that although I was happy with my life and comfortable, I wasn't living life. I wasn't embracing it. I mean, you see life so different when death is knocking at your door. And of course, that's the first thing you think about when your diagnosis is, I'm going to die. Like, honestly, nobody can sit there and say that they don't feel that.
Yeah, yeah,
No matter how much you try to like cover it up with different feelings. Death is constantly on the front of your mind. And it was definitely living life on purpose. Like, I have a family, you know, I have nephews and nieces and kids and parents, you know, so you never imagine. Like, I think I was one of those people that would say, no, not me. That could never happen to me. You know, I mean, we all go through situations like that. And it happened. And of course, my question from the beginning was, why me? Why me? And I'm very spiritual, you know, so I questioned God. It was like, Lord, why? Like, I felt, you know, giving myself props. I felt like I was a good person. I've done everything for people. Like, what made me happy was seeing other people happy. I never put myself first. Like, that my life. That's been my life. And I kept saying, why me? And I felt it in my spirit that he was telling me, well, why not you? What made
right,
you different? You know? And
right.
it's humbling at that point. It's
Yeah,
very humbling. And like I said, you see life so different from that point on. You know, live
yeah,
life with purpose. You know, tomorrow's not promised for none of us. You know, I know people personally that have had cancer and died from something else. You know, so it's crazy. Like, I'm not gonna let, you know, I tell a lot of, especially hosts in the chat, I tell a lot of people, have the cancer, but don't let it have you. You know,
mhm,
and that, it took me a while to get that though, because I was mad for a while. I was mad at God. I was mad at the world for a good month and a half. And then once I started treatment, after I had the surgery and started treatment, which the treatment kicked my butt, um, that's when I started seeing things so different. I started realizing that, shoot, like, you really never know when your last day is going to be. So I'm going to make
right,
sure that every day I'm going to enjoy it.
right.
Unfortunately, now, you know, with the pandemic, you know, we can't really enjoy it too much.
It's too hard.
Right. But we still try.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, you know, whether it's house party, although if I'm not too tired, or even if it's just stepping out and enjoying a fresh breath air, you know, fresh,
especially,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
even, there you go. I'm tired. um, but everything, you know, happens for a reason. I mean, in the midst of all this, I discovered I had a green thumb, you know, so I found a hobby being isolated, plants, vegetables, herbs, you name it, I'm growing, you know, so I made my deck my serene space. You know, so again, we're isolated. Cancer survivors are isolated, mainly the ones that are going through treatment currently, because if you've already passed treatment, your immune system is stronger than it was going through treatment. Um, so yeah, I just had to find another reason, another way to enjoy life, even if it meant enjoying it at home.
Yeah, yeah.
That's you mentioned your immune system becoming stronger. What were some fears that you had, or even just thoughts with the pandemic? As I know that that was kind of like the elderly or anybody that was battling cancer, anybody with the
Immune compromise. Yeah.
compromised immune systems were at threat. So, like, what were your thoughts or your feelings like when all this went down? Or
Right.
still going down, you know?
Started. Yeah.
My fear was catching COVID. You know, my fear was getting sick and dying of COVID. You know, I'm like, cancer's trying to kill me, but COVID's going to be the one to get me, you know? But
Yeah.
that was my fear, you know? And so I had to like think about things differently. Like that weekend that we started getting the news of this stuff, my God, I went to Sam's Club, Walmart, wherever, and stocked up for my household. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I keep a full cabinet anyway, and that's comes
Yeah.
from stuff from growing up, not
Yeah.
having, you know, growing up. So I've always been like anal about making sure my cabinets were stocked. But I really went crazy. Gloves, hand sanitizer, you know, whatever, you know, all that stuff that we ran out of, I happen to have. I think it wasn't until the middle of the pandemic when I ran out of it. Nobody was allowed
Mhm.
to come to the house. Wasn't seeing my family for weeks at a time. People had to take off their shoes. Like, I was so petrified of catching this thing. And mainly because the worst symptom that I would hear is you can't breathe. And for me, it's like, you can't breathe, you know, that takes something out of you. You know, if you've been sick before and your nose is stuffed up, that's the worst feeling ever. And I think that was the main thing for me. You can't breathe and you can't talk. So I was like, well, what am I going to do if I can't breathe or talk? Like, that's crazy. You know, I already have issues with my lungs now because of the chemo. So yeah, that was the main fear for me at that point.
Yeah. So let's talk about your chat.
Mm.
Let's
So,
get what it is, the details.
so the chat came from a stranger that became family, um, who I've reached out to in the middle, well, not even in the middle, in the beginning of my journey with dealing with cancer the first time. Followed this Instagram page, didn't know what they were about, just liked what they were doing, and followed them. And then I got diagnosed and said, okay, it's my turn. You know, what do you do? And they told me that they offer emotional support to anyone battling cancer, family, friends, whoever, you know, whoever's going down that journey. I was like, wow, so now it's my turn. So in the midst of all of that, I've met some amazing people. A lot of survivors, warriors, family members, and seeing how selfless these people were. The whole time I was battling the first time, I kept saying, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? And of course, you know, my family's like, you need to sit down. Just sit down. Like, don't do nothing. And even, you know, the co-founders were like, stop. Just focus on your recovery. But I have that heart. Like, you know, what makes me happy, seeing other people happy is what made me happy. And I just wanted to help. Then they asked me to host this virtual support group. Now, I've always been the shy type. I've always been...
You the shy type?
Anyway, that's because y'all know me. But I've always been an introvert. Like, I don't like being around big crowds, although it's virtual. So it was never my thing. Like, public speaking was never my thing. I've tried network marketing and failed at several avenues of that because of that. And I kept asking them, like, why me? Why? Like, you got all these people here who boldly speak, you know, why me? And they kept saying, well, why not you? In my mind, it was like, oh, is that God talking to me again? So even up until the night before, I fought. I don't want to do this. I was scared to death. I was panicking. Everybody kept saying, you could do it, motivating me, encouraging me. And I was doubtful. I was like, I'm going to fail, because all my life, that's what's been put into my head. Everything you do is going to fail. So naturally, that's what I was thinking. In my 40s, you know, that's what I was thinking. And I did it the first night. An old friend of mine sat across from me and coached me through it. So that was helpful. And here we are over a year later. Mind you, this was post-COVID, you know. We did the virtual support group. And initially I had the guideline. I did like a script for myself, and I was going through certain wordings and everything, and I was very careful on how I addressed it. And now it's my baby. Like, now I feel like, so I mean, I host this group, but it's for the organization, CancerWho. So it's at that point when they asked me, and I did a few of them, I was like, so I guess this is what I'm meant to do. Yeah. This is my calling. This is where God wants me, because not only am I helping others overcome their fears with cancer, I'm helping family members. I'm helping children, parents. There's a lot of parents that come on there. And we have people that tune in from all over. California, Washington, Virginia, all over. We've had people actually from different countries want to tune in, but it's a different time zone, so it's a little harder for them. But it's just a virtual support group that we offer support. You know, we encourage each other, we motivate each other, we support each other. One thing about the cancer journey, and any survivor can admit to it, is that we lose people. We lose people that don't know how to walk this journey with you, and they're scared. I've lost best friends. I've lost family members that just don't know how to support you. And as much as it hurts, you have to kind of like take your anger out the way and say, you know what, I'm mad at you for doing that and abandoning me, but at the same time, I guess I got to understand. And mainly because I kept saying I wouldn't do that. But I couldn't put myself in their shoes. You know, so we constantly encourage each other to remember that. and remind each other we're not alone. We're in this together. You know, my family have come on there, hosted, or even just took part in the chat. What was amazing is the first few weeks, you know, there wasn't a lot of people tuning in, a lot of survivors, but my family was there, you know, thick, you know, supporting me. And of course, sometimes we would act like we didn't know each other just, you know, to support. But just to see how, you know, they stepped up for me, you know, they supported me through the whole cancer journey and stepped up for me even during that time. And yeah, there's times where I feel like it's too much, it's overwhelming, especially battling again. And I'll come on, no matter how tired I am, medication, you know, whatever taking over. But I'll come on and see the faces of people looking forward to seeing me, or looking forward to see what's today's topic. You know, I come up with all the topics. I ask a bunch of people for topic ideas, and we just talk about it. Some days are dry, some days are not. And it just feels good. It feels good to be able to share something with someone else who understands. You know, like I can talk to my family and say, I don't know, like anything pertaining to cancer, my family won't understand that, but another survivor will. You know, so it feels really good. The downside of it is that I've lost really good friends in the short time that I've been diagnosed. Yeah, really close friends. And that's the downside of it. It's like cancer is, you know, it is what it is. You know, some people win the battle, some people don't. I mean, I always consider them winners through the whole thing, because this is a tough thing to fight from beginning to end. This is tough. And I've seen some strong women battle through this. And I've seen, you know, parents lose their kids, you know, so that was hard to watch. But yeah, we're just a platform that comes on once a week and support each other, motivate each other, and we talk. It's all cancer. It's all about cancer, you know. So like I said, the topics are different every week. Sometimes the topic could be, you know, are you prepared? Are you prepared for, God forbid, that last day happens? Are you ready? But what that topic led into is other people saying, damn, I never thought about it. People in their 20s, people that never had you know, their health is perfect. And it really opens up that discussion at home, because what we've learned also through this journey, especially for minorities, is that those conversations we don't have with our families. We don't talk about finances. We don't teach our kids a lot. I mean, you guys do now. But my generation, no, we don't talk about this. We don't talk about diseases in the family, you know, what this person died of, that person died of. We don't talk about finances, how to teach your family how to be financially stable and debt free. No, that was never heard of. We don't talk about mental health, which is well known now. You know, that was never talked about. And especially diseases. Like, I got diagnosed and found out both my grandmother or great grandmothers had breast cancer. It doesn't relate to me at this point, but they had it. I don't know what kind, but they had it. Who would have thought? Like, I didn't know that. Yeah, so it's really crazy. These are important discussions we have to have with our kids, no matter how old they are. Shoot, if we could talk to them about sex and drugs, we can talk to them about diseases like this. You know, and I'd be the first to say, I've talked to my kids about STDs first before I've talked to them about cancer or high blood pressure, or, you know, things like that, things that are going to help them and encourage them and motivate them and give them, I don't know, the opportunity to take better care of themselves. Like, so
what's your most memorable moment on your chat?
The most memorable moment? There's so many. Like, every week is memorable for me. Every single week. I take something from every single week. I love seeing people step out of their own way. There's people that have come on there and said, this is a first for me. You know, I never wanted to do support groups, mainly because of the shame of having cancer. I mean, I was embarrassed when I first got diagnosed. I don't know why. I was just embarrassed. And there was people that come on there saying, you know what, I just never wanted to take part in chat. And then stuck with it every single week and thanked me for, you know, having this platform. And of course, it wasn't my vision initially, but I do it every week. And it's like, I push myself a lot to do it. But it's that, like I said, every week is memorable. just seeing people step out of their own way. That's
Yeah. Pat said he wants to be part of your group chat. So how can people
so I share the flyer every week on the Instagram page, which is Let's Talk About It _CancerWho. And then I also share it on CancerWho's Facebook page and Instagram page. So you can follow on either one of those pages. Then I tag a bunch of people. All my family gets tagged. They can't get away from it. You're only limited 20 people though. That's another thing to consider, which I need to talk to Instagram about. But so, I tag all the cancer survivors. I tag, family members. So the flyer every Wednesday, you'll see the flyer. So if you're on any one of those social media pages, you'll see it definitely. And then 7:00 every Wednesday night. Join
on
us.
Zoom?
On Zoom. Yep. On Zoom.
You can DM her if you want the link for the Zoom.
I'm not all these questions, but I didn't get a chance to look
go
at
back
them.
there. You can answer them.
What do you say? I would love to be. Oh, that's what you repeated for him.
Yeah.
Everyone, please drop some hearts. Aw, thank you, Pat. I know I saw your live a couple weeks ago with them. I haven't seen you in forever. That was awesome. Well, you said let's spam these hearts. It's not a lot of cancer survivors that's willing to share. No, you're right. You're right. People, I'm telling you, people are ashamed to share their stories. People are so hesitant. And I don't know why, because one thing we have to remember is that our story inspires someone else. Someone else's story inspired me. To see their bravery through it all. To see how they overcame so many things. Like someone else's story inspired me, and our stories are inspiring other people. There's so many people watching our journeys that we don't know. I mean, besides our own children, our children are looking up to us. That's why we have to be careful everything we do. But then there's other people on the outside looking in, without judgment. They're just watching. And it doesn't have to be cancer. I had somebody who reached out to me who had lupus, and she was like, wow, I don't have cancer, but because of you, I was able to talk to my family about my lupus. And that made me feel really good that I was able to inspire someone. Even if it's just one person. Even if one person comes on the chat every week, it still makes me feel good. Sometimes I get a little discouraged because it's like, wow, am I doing the right thing? Am I reaching people the way I should? I used to post so much different content on there, like for cancer awareness, the different cancers of the month. And then I kind of stopped because then I got more sick. And it became too much. But I feel like as long as I'm sharing the flyer and reminding people, and then I always text a group of survivors as well, and I call them warriors. I always text them every week. But the crazy thing is when I don't text them, if I don't feel good that day and I don't text them, they're hitting me up. Like, hey, do we have chat tonight? And that makes me feel so good. And like I tell everybody when they join, the first time they join, I'm like, welcome. Now you're part of the family. Because you want people to feel like we're family, like we're in this together. And, this is a beast. This cancer journey is a beast, but it does take a lot of people to be in your life and encourage you and support you. And even if you don't know how to support someone, Google tells you all this. I looked it up just for my chats, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of knowledge out there. So of course, then I went back to that anger, like, okay, they can't make any excuses because there's information out there how to support people. But what I will say is, do not tell people stories about death. Do not.
When you say about death, like about other cancer,
right? So when people find out about your journey, it's like, oh, well, my aunt died of that. Do not do that. It's so encouraging. Like that's already on our minds. Like try to be more mindful of that. Definitely,
we have a question.
A text. That all helps.
I can't see the whole thing, but it says, why do you think the culture of secrecy, especially of oneself's burdens, the threshold of family? I can't see the second part of the question, though.
Oh, I don't. Who put that in?
So weird. What's that? Oh,
I'm trying to read it again. Was it Pat again?
No, Janice. Janice asked the
question.
It doesn't pop up there because they can click question and then it goes to this part.
So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Why do you think the culture of secrecy, especially by oneself, burdens
Especially of oneself's burdens.
the threshold of family?
Do you? Oh man, if you can put it in the chat, Janice, that way maybe we can see it better
Yeah, it's like cut off
in the
from here.
questions. But why? I guess why do you think
Family
people
hide
don't
it so much.
share their what they're really going through, especially with their family?
Like the survivors.
Warriors, yeah. I
So
mean, whether you're going
I,
through it, you know.
what I've learned, like I said, for me, I was embarrassed at first. Um, and I just wanted to get through it, man. I didn't want nothing to do with cancer after I was done. I didn't want to smell it, breathe it, nothing. But like I said, God had other plans for me, you know. So when it got to the point of me seeing commercials with cancer and TV shows with cancer, it was like, oh God, so you're really just gonna rub it in. All right, God, I see
Right.
you joking around. Like, you know, me and God fight like this all the time. So I'm like, all right, so you really just gonna rub this in. All right, that's fine. And I think for me, you know, and I'm just speaking for myself and I can speak for other survivors and what they said, it was that embarrassment for me. With other survivors, it was that fear of people treating them different. It does happen.
Mm-hmm.
People treat you different.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know, like I'm fragile, but I'm still the same person. The only difference is that my journey's different. My journey in life is different. I embrace life differently. Like, and I know how to cut people off now. I set boundaries a little bit differently this time. And it took a lot for me to do that.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa, you can actually, she posted it in the comments now, so you should be able to see the whole question.
Yeah, I went all the way to the top and the bottom. I see all Pat's questions.
Okay. She said, why do you think why do you think the burden of secrecy is common amongst the threshold of family? Do you think that people are more protective of themselves than others, even in despair?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, you don't want people to look at you differently. I know for men, depending on what type of cancer, again, like if they had colon cancer, it's like, well, I don't want people to think I got it because of something else.
Yeah. Or
For women,
prostate cancer.
if women get ovarian cancer, and this is stories again that I've heard from other survivors, if they get ovarian cancer, like, well, I don't want people to think I've been sleeping around and that's why I got it. Or I don't want the questions. Like some people really just want to get through it and be done with it.
Yeah.
I know a young lady that I met through this journey from another friend. And she's come on the chat a few times. It was very helpful for her in the beginning part of her journey, but she made it very clear that she did not want nothing to do with cancer. When she was done her treatments, she was done. She wouldn't go to the center, the CancerWho Center. She wouldn't go to any of our events. She just didn't want that reminder. And because of that, she never shared her journey on, I think she shared her journey on social media maybe twice that I've seen. Like she just was very hesitant. She shared it because she wanted to get it out. She was tired of the questions from other people. And then that was it. She was like, okay, I'm not going to speak about it again. So, but it's definitely more common in minorities. That I've learned from listening to other chats or taking part in like different meetings, conference meetings, and speaking to other people. It's definitely more common in minorities.
Why do you think that's common in our culture?
Man, because we fight so hard just to be recognized. We fight so hard just to be important and not be labeled. That it's like, geez, now you're gonna look at me in this light too. So it's it's for some families it's a sign of weakness, and I know I can understand parts of that. So for like me, I motivate myself by talking to myself, giving myself pep talks. I have a playlist that the days of my treatment I play it, and it's all these fight songs. Like You're a Warrior, or what's the one from Demi Lovato, the Warrior song. For me, I play that. I play, I can't even think of any names offhand now, but I play a lot of songs that motivate and encourage me to get through it. Huh?
The Alicia Keys song?
which
That
the
on
Girl on
fire, I think.
Fire. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that song. There's a lot. There's either Christian songs, R&B. There's some country. You know, people think country's all sad. No, it's not. But any song that's gonna motivate me. And in the beginning, that's what it took. In the beginning, it took a whole bunch of stickies and like you are beautiful, especially when I lost my hair. You know, I know hair doesn't identify you, and people will constantly tell me that, but it was a part of me. And that's what people didn't understand. My hair was long, curly, and it was just a part of me. You know, it's how I identified myself.
yeah,
I never walked around bald unless I was home. You know, I wore a scarf for 7 months. Once my hair started growing back, I was trying to figure out different ways on how to style it. Now it's just like whatever. But it was just, yeah, it was that embarrassment. You know, with me having 5 kids, 3 of them being girls, I was ashamed not sharing things with them. But mainly because I didn't know. You know, I didn't know this stuff happened in our families. You know, so yeah, it's a lot of shame. It's a lot of embarrassment. It's a lot of, you know, you feeling like you're weak. And with our parents, it's like they didn't want us to feel weak. So why share these things with them?
yeah,
But in
yeah.
reality, it's a sign of strength, really.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this day and age, it's common, no matter what it is that you're doing in life, that we get into this point where we kind of compare, right? So you've met a lot of different warriors, and like you said, you've witnessed some warriors lose that battle ultimately. And what are some things that you felt as though that you kind of had to face in that process, and what are some things that you learned during those processes?
so what I faced during that process was survivor's guilt. I felt guilty for surviving.
Mm.
Um, and that was really heavy. That was really heavy because both the two young ladies that I lost were a lot younger than me. One of them had little kids, you know, so I had that guilt, like, man, and I have my family too to think about, but it was just like, it was crazy. So I felt guilty for surviving. That was the main thing that really I took from that. But it was hard to deal with regardless.
Yeah, I mean, losing anyone,
Yeah.
regardless of how long you've known them, is difficult.
But I felt like with them two especially, I was very vulnerable with them. Like there's not many people you can be vulnerable with. So like sometimes we get our
Mm.
family members that see us upset and think that we're giving up. Um, I mean, no, we're human too, you know. So we're entitled to be upset sometimes. It's a matter of how you deal with it after the fact. Like how do you boss up through it? It's like okay, I'm
Yeah.
crying now, I'm upset now. Sometimes a good cry feels really good, but how do you deal with it afterwards? So it's like you have to find people that you can be vulnerable with. And these two women especially were my go-tos for everything. They were
Yeah,
my, you know, my everything. Like they understood. I met them through the journey and it was like we knew each other forever. And even losing, you know, my closest friends through this journey, these two, it's like God knew what I needed, you know, and he replaced the people that I lost, especially with these two women who, man, and their cancer was a lot worse than mine. They had cancer in multiple different organs. And it broke my heart every time, you know, but I could talk to them and they never shut me down. They never complained. They never, you know, I know that when things got worse for them, it was harder for them to be supportive. And I understood that. And I took a step back and I just like reversed roles. Now I was their support. But it just like, they were my go to. So losing them felt like I lost a piece of me. It felt like, who am I going to go to now that understands? So I am getting better with talking to a lot of survivors that come on the chat, but sometimes I'm hesitant because I feel like, you know, they depend on me to be their strength, you know, so I'm
yeah,
hesitant in some ways. And then I'm also very mindful of that survivor's guilt. So I'm careful what I share with them, especially the ones that are in remission, the ones that have finished treatment. And that's what remission is. You know, when you finish treatment, treatment's over, no, there's what they call need. So no evidence of disease. So anytime you see that anywhere in documents, it's no evidence of disease. So when they're need, um, that's still a fear in their mind. So when they hear your journey, especially the fact that I've been diagnosed twice in less than 2 years, you know, so for them it's like, oh my God, this happened to me. You know, is this
Right.
what I have to face? You know, so I'm very mindful of that, and I try not to share with them too many details. So when they ask me how you doing, what's going on, it's like I'm good. I may tell them a little bit of things, you know, that I'm experiencing, but
Yeah, just to be honest and transparent.
I try to be as transparent as possible, but I'm careful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as we wrap up, we have like our one final question, but some key points that I want to share with those who are listening and those who will listen to the replay. A couple of things that I if I had to bullet point some things that you said in terms of educating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you feel something wrong with your body, listen to yourself regardless of what the doctors say. Like, advocate for yourself. Um, talk to your insurance yourself about what is covered and what is not covered. Um, men and women should always get tested. And am I missing anything?
Um,
Don't be ashamed.
just
Don't
try
be
not to be
ashamed.
too hard on yourself, no matter what the situation is. You know, we're our own worst critics. Try not to be too hard on yourself. You know, like I said, have the disease, don't let it have you, because it
Mhm.
can overwhelm people and make people depressed and, you know, control their minds. And especially when you're alone. Idle mind is the devil's playground. I say that all the time. You know, when you're alone, these thoughts just go crazy.
Yeah, and for prevention, right? A lot of especially in the beginning of listening to yourself, the testing came a lot earlier than the doctors would have done
Right.
if and your testing came out of you advocating for yourself, to say
Not the
no, I
first time.
can't now.
The second time, yeah. The first time, it was just my 40-year-old mammogram.
Hmm.
That's what it was. So, like for my kids and my nieces, they have to get tested early. You know,
Hmm.
they actually suggest 29, but also if you feel something wrong, get tested. That's for breast, men and women again. Um, there's all so many other cancers, so I encourage people to just go online and look and see what the signs are. I do need to get back into sharing that every month, but yeah, whatever it is, talk to your parents if they're, you know, still here, grandparents, aunts, uncles, see what diseases run in the family, and then do your research. You know, definitely do your research. Don't just go by one thing. You know, don't be Dr. Google like I was in the beginning. You know, you can't just go by one resource that you find. You have to go by different resources. So definitely educate yourself. um, Try not to be too hard on the doctors, and, you know, bring your family in to beat them up and stuff. You know, you have to be very careful because doctors are human too, you know, but push them to be a part of your team. You're not comfortable with a doctor, you have every right to fire them and move on. There's probably red tape you got to go through, but just know that you're not stuck with one hospital. You can go to multiple hospitals. With insurance, you're entitled to second, third, fourth opinions. Remember that. Some people think that when it's done, it's done. You know, I get this one opinion and I'm done. No, go as many places you have to. Um, like I said, call your insurance. Insurances can assign you case managers, and you can talk just to that person during the whole course. You know, sometimes they give you like a 3 month, I don't know what you call it, not membership, but for 3 months, you know, you have that person and they'll walk with you through everything, get your post-ops, your authorizations, like they'll walk with you through everything. But you won't know unless you try.
Yeah,
Copay, there's so many organizations out there that help with this. Um, Copays, insurance, like whatever. Don't let anything stop you from living your life. And part of that is taking care of yourself. And definitely change your eating habits. You know, which I've done a lot. And it helps. It definitely helps. Look up the misconceptions of cancer. You know, people have all these misconceptions of cancer. Like, you know, a lot of people believe that sugar, you know, promotes to you getting cancer. I mean, that is just one of the many. But with that, it's like during research and speaking to nutritionists, it's like that's not the case. You know, sugar can make things worse for other things that or add other diseases like diabetes. But you have to do your research. And like I said, I wouldn't know what I know unless I was diagnosed, you know. And then
yeah,
doing research, my family constantly, you know, in my ear, like, did you see this? Did you see that? There's so many websites too. Like I'm a part of, there's a magazine called Cure. It's all cancer related. that I've subscribed to. So they always send you the up-to-date information about clinical trials, about new drugs coming out. There's a few websites, and anybody can inbox me and ask me because I can't. Cure is the only one I think of offhand. Oh, Conquer is another one. American Diabetes Foundation, which I support big time. Like, they've been a big help with information. And family, speak to friends and family, and just like, no, it's normal to feel scared.
Yeah.
But don't be so scared where you don't ask questions or you don't do something about it, because then it could be too late.
So for those that want to stay in touch or learn some more, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
Me personally, it would be Instagram on Que Vida Bella, Que Vida, which is VIDA _Bella, and then Facebook is Lizza Padilla. And then if you want to be a part of the CancerWho organization, you have CancerWho, their website there on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then our chat, Let's Talk About It, is Let's Talk About It _CancerWho.
Awesome. You want to ask the last question?
No, that's it. I mean, that's a
All right.
pleasure time.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, for sharing your story, your insight, your wisdom. We appreciate you. And for everyone on the chat, we'll see you next week on Monday, 9 o'clock. And remember,
the 28th, we're gonna have Jamil Owens. He is the host of the Awesome Show and co-host of the Ben and Jay Show. And his story is he's a father whose world changed once he had introduced his son into his world, who is on the spectrum. And he talks about his journey as a parent of a child that's on the spectrum and some of the difficulties in the journey through that. So we're going to be very honored to bring him onto the show on the 28th. Yeah. So we're excited. Thank you again, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, especially on your birthday. And try to enjoy the rest of your evening. And I hope to come back another time. And
Yes, for sure.
I love
Kill
y'all.
the day every day.
Yeah, kill the day. Let the day kill you.